study guide, and realize that I am going to go over all of this. Okay, so right now we have the ELA notes. I'm going to make this a little bit larger so it could be a little bit larger. Hopefully you went over some of this, and a lot of this again is in your notes section of your notebooks. So a lot of ideas about main idea and supporting details, we went over it. It's also the way that we summarize expository text, because when you're talking about what you've read, you want the most important things. And so the main idea is the author's message. So it's a lot of what the author, the topic, and what the author feels about the topic. And on here, as you can see, it breaks it down a little bit more. It talks about the central idea about a topic. So again, how the author feels about that topic. The main idea is the most important idea, and then the supporting details tell us more about the main idea. So that right there is the basics. So all of this part right here is just basic information that we went over in class. And these are extra ways to help you remember the rest of it. So again, sometimes, so these right here are clues. I try to use this a little bit. Okay, so these are some clues. It might be in the paragraph. It might be directly stated or implied. That means it doesn't really say, there's not one sentence you can pull out the main idea from, but there's clues throughout the paragraph. And for middle school, high school, most of the time we're going to have an implied main idea. After it's implied, of course, we have the supporting details, and sometimes it's in the end of the paragraph when we have the implied main idea. Okay, you do need to identify the topic. And what is it about? Is it about penguins? Is it about hurricanes? Those kind of things. And sometimes there's a topic sentence, kind of like a main idea sentence, but each paragraph would have a topic sentence, and those together might give you an idea. If the main idea is implied, whom or what did I just read about? And what do the details suggest about that topic? And again, most of the time now that you're in secondary, our main ideas will be implied. And then, of course, you're going to create a main idea sentence. And make sure that your main idea sentence and then your supporting details kind of give me a summary, an overall picture of the most important information about the passage that you read. So main idea and supporting details, and again, we will be hitting this throughout. So make sure that you practice. So even though we're going to move on next week to our novel unit, this is something that we're going to be hitting on throughout. And occasionally we will be using poetry with our novel unit, or expository text with our novel unit, things like that. So make sure that you keep your notes, you review all of the information that's on my webpage so that we can go over it more often. And if you look over here, let me minimize this. Again, the content review section, I put in some structure, text structure overview, so you can go over text structures in here, going over nonfiction text features and what they're used for, and of course, the main idea and supporting details, which is what we just went over. So here's a video, a little bit more exciting than just listening to me, of how you can go over all of that. And here was a copy of the study guide I'm going over, and the practice test that I did send out this last week. Again, utilize all of that, and remember, live stream will be posted here. I did not post last live stream because I think the link that I sent out was not the correct one, and so people's faces were popping up, and I didn't want to embarrass anyone. It's okay if I get a little embarrassed, I can take it, but I didn't want to embarrass any of my students. Okay, so back to the study guide. And again, periodically text message me, email me if you have a question. It does seem like some of you were trying to get on and haven't been able to. just keep trying. It's okay. If not, again, you can always resort to the emails. And I think I got a message from somebody. Try to message me through email, though. I understand some of you would like me to revert to it like last time, but again, when people's faces pop up, it's a lot for me to ask for students' faces to be popping up in between my presentation. I did email y'all the link in Google Hangouts, so try using those links again. If not, let me see. Yeah, that's the only way it's going to work if you guys use the Google Hangouts link. Let me see if I can try it again. Okay, so I am getting a lot of information of people or messages from people wanting to use a different link. So what I sent you was this link right here, which is our YouTube link. That's the link that's going to stop you from popping up, but it looks like some of you are having trouble. So I did some adjustments to the settings. I'm going to go ahead and try to give you the other link. Hopefully it'll be okay. So see if I can. Not sure how to do the other. I think that's the only link I can give you right now once we started this. So all I can say is email me with your questions, and that's what's going to work, because this right here is what I sent out on the remind, and it does look like some of you are watching it. So let's just go with that. And again, just email me your questions. I think that's what's going to work best. I'm going to go ahead and go back to screen share so that we can go over the rest of the study guide and go ahead and continue to the practice test. Okay, so back to the practice test. Let's go ahead and go down, or the study guide. Let's go ahead and scroll down a little bit. And let's see. Oh, looks like it froze a little bit. Don't know what that is. Okay. So over here, the next thing we're going to go over is cause and effect, compare and contrast, sequence, problem solution, and description. These were the text structures, and I must say that I'm very proud of many of you. Many of you are really looking at these texts, and when I'm asking you, well, how do you think it's organized? How do you think this paragraph is organized? I can see you really trying to think and organize it in your minds, and even if you don't get it right the first time, I can see that you're using those keywords and you're trying to picture what's happening. A lot of you are getting confused with cause and effect and problem solution. I think the thing you have to focus on, is there an actual problem, and are they telling me how to solve that problem? So I think what we're getting confused with, I'll use the pen this time. What we're getting confused with is this solution part, because it may tell you that, like, let's say they're talking about an event in history and all the causes and how that event happened as an effect because of those causes. That is not a solution. So this is going to be your clue right here, because sometimes the event might sound like a problem. You know, what were the causes of the Civil War? You know, well, Civil War, it sounds like a problem to me. I can see where you might think that, but these events, these actions cause something to happen. Whereas here, there is a problem, but how are we solving the problem? So these are the two that I think some of you are getting confused with. The compare and contrast, you guys are doing excellent on. Sequence and description is just going to describe something, tell me all about it. A lot of like biographies, autobiographies, hurricanes, you know, just informational. It's just giving me lots of facts and information, you know, things like that. So that would be more of a description one. So look at your diagrams as clues. There's one thing, lead to another, lead to another, lead to another. Are we comparing something? Are we going step by step by step? Or in chronological with times? Is there a problem, and do I explain one or more of the possible solutions? Okay, and then of course here, is it a topic? Is it described? Am I telling you characteristics and giving you examples of that topic? So if you have any questions about text structure, please email me. That way we could do it that way. I see that some students are having trouble getting onto Google Hangout. If you're having trouble getting onto Google Hangout, that's fine. Let me know though if you are having trouble viewing the live session. So if you're viewing the live session, that's okay. You can just email me your questions and I can do it that way. So I have another device here that's going to be opened up to my email account. That way you can just email me your questions. For some reasons, maybe the settings were too stern and you did not get access to the Hangout site to ask me questions. I'm not quite sure what happened. We're still learning this. Okay, so text features. The thing you need to know about text features, one is how to identify them. So make sure that titles, subtitles, indexes, all of these are for fiction, but for expository text or nonfiction, we have titles, table of context, indexes, photos, captions, diagrams, glossaries, timelines, bold print, headings, subtitles. Can we have more? Yes. Maybe we'll have italics, or maybe we have, let's see, we have diagrams. Maybe there's just a drawing. Maybe there's a graph. I didn't see graph on here. Any one of those things. Step is to identify. So build up your knowledge about these elements. But the thing they're going to ask you is, how did the author use it? What was the purpose? I know I just scratched that out. But what was the purpose of that specific text feature? Why? What was the point of the author putting that on there? So how does the author use it? What was its purpose? Everything the author does, there's a reason behind it. And so you're going to encounter a lot of questions that say, why did the author put this feature on here? Why did the author put this graph on here? What was its purpose? And all of those things are what we're going to need to do. Okay, so let's go ahead and continue on down to the next part of the study guide. Okay, so here we go. And on this section right here, the thing I want you to mostly, they might talk about are they persuading you? Are they informing you? Are they entertaining you? But again, the main aspect of all of this is it's asking you why. You need to realize that there's going to be a purpose. Every writer has a purpose, whether it's style, word choice, the structure. Why are they using it? What is the point of view? What are the clues? All of those things are going to be part of it. So make sure you understand that there's a purpose, and it's always going to be tied to getting his or her message across. So that main idea, that message that the author is trying to tell you is important to the piece of text that you're reading. And so if we encounter, whether it's the literary devices in fiction or literary nonfiction, when we talked about sensory details or figurative language, or the poetry with figurative language and different, forms of sound devices and things like that. Once you see all of those things, and there is a purpose to them, there's a reason why the author utilizes these techniques, and it's going to be in some shape or form a way to reveal his or her purpose and message behind it. Now, it might be specific. It might be to point out one of the supporting statements that supports his or her message, but you still need to understand that there is a purpose and it is tied to something. Look for the clues to find out the exact purpose. Okay, so it looks like we're done with this study guide, or going over the study guide. So we're going to go ahead and go over the exam. So I'm going to exit out of this one, and we're going to go over this little practice exam. Now, again, is this the exam you're going to take tomorrow? No, it is not, but we're going to go over that exam so that you can have a little bit of an idea. If you cannot see this session, if you're having trouble with this session, please go ahead and message me with all of your questions. So hopefully you guys are able to message me with all of your questions. Now we're going to go over the actual practice test. So I don't know if you guys read it already. You should have. If not, I'll quickly go over that passage. It is very, very similar to your test tomorrow. The only difference is your test tomorrow is going to be a paired passage where there are two stories, two expository text stories that you're going to have to answer questions to. You're going to have main ideas, supporting details questions, text feature questions, a lot of inferencing on the author's purpose, things like that. So pay attention to this. And some of it is, yes, I understand text structures. I understand some of this, how to identify it. But again, the next step is going to be understanding why an author uses these techniques, and also paying attention to the question, understanding what it is that they're trying to ask you in the question. Because I think sometimes some of you still get a little confused with that, or you feel like you're in a rush. Remember, you get the full 2 blocks of class to work on it. And remember, you can use your dictionaries and those resources. You cannot use your notes. But your notes aren't really going to help you because these questions relate to the actual text there. The questions aren't going to be, can you identify this? Or can you identify that? It's, how did the author use this? How did the author use that? So a lot of our general notes were on what is main idea, what are supporting details, what are the text structures. Hopefully you can already identify that. But now it's, let's read this passage, let's see our comprehension, how we understand it, analyze it, and try to understand why an author utilized these techniques. So I'm going to go ahead and go back to the screen share, and we'll go over the passage. If I could hear your voices, I would say, okay, so I'll read the next paragraph, but I won't. I understand that some of you may not have read the passage. I was hoping you had, but I know some of you had stated that you haven't. So we will briefly or quickly go over the passage. Okay, so places to call home. Even before I read, I can look at my text features and see that there are certain things that I should note or pay attention to. There are clues to what we're doing. So if we look on here, or clues to what we're going to read. If we look on here, we've got the title, Places to Call Home. We've also got, let's see. Oh, here it is. Okay. We've also got, no, this didn't work. We've also got a photograph. So in this photograph, we just see a title down here, Houses in Ireland, and we see some actual houses. They're very close together. I noticed that. They got steep roofs. But we're noticing, okay, places to call home. We have houses, and then we see this caption or title underneath the photo that says Houses in Ireland. If I keep looking down the text, I see a diagram, and it's a diagram because it's showing something. I see sunlight. It looks like the earth right here, the core of the earth. Something's going down, back up, and then it goes into all the houses. I don't know what this part is. I wonder, maybe I'll find out after I read. And it says geothermal heating system. Okay, now, if you don't know what geothermal means, you could look it up because you have the access to your dictionary when you're taking these exams. I know geo means earth and thermal means heat. Earth heating system. So this is probably the earth. The earth is warming something up, and it's part of the heating system. But I wonder what it's heating up. Maybe I'll find out more when I read it. And Dug Dwellings, there's a title there. And we have another house here, and it says a Chinese cave house. So this is a cave house in China. Looks like it's built into this wall, and it was part of a cave. So it sounds kind of interesting. And then this last one, a stilt house in Thailand. So this is a house in Thailand. Now, based on this, I'm noticing that they're talking about different places around the world. So I can go back to my title on my first places to call home. And I'm assuming now, even before I read, that this is going to be talking about all the different homes in different places of the world. Well, not every single home, but in a few places of the world. So let's go ahead and read this. It has been said that your home is your castle. Yet few people will have the opportunity to live in a castle complete with dungeons, turrets, and moats. A study of house designs throughout the world acknowledges that your dwelling is where you truly feel at home. So that was the introductory paragraph. A history and natural environment of a region influence the construction of homes. These two factors impact people and their considerations when providing shelter for their families. Consequently, the distinctive abodes, if you don't know what abodes mean, you can look it up, that means homes, of Iceland, China, and Thailand are unlike any other on earth. So again, all of this was the introduction, right? Saying, okay, people love their houses, not everybody can live in a castle, but for them, homes are very important. And then we are here, the history and natural environment. So already, history and natural environment are going to influence how they build their homes. And this is underlined, so it gives me a clue that I'm probably going to have to look this word up. But a lot of you might already know what the word construction means. So how they build their homes is going to be influenced by the natural environment and by the history of that community. And it even told you the different homes in Iceland, China, and Thailand. And we saw that in the photographs. So heated houses. Known for its climate, Iceland is a tiny island country in the North Atlantic Ocean. Icelandic houses are designed to withstand the effects of chilly weather about 3/4 of the year. So if you look at how many quarters make a dollar, look at fractions, that's 3/4 of the year. Iceland experiences some form of precipitation. You learn about precipitation in science, and that's like weather as far as snow or rain, some fog, things that fall down, and weather. Often snow. So most of the year in Iceland it snows. The roofs of homes in this glacial country can leak or even collapse when snow or ice accumulates atop of the structure. So think about the roof. If snow keeps piling on and on and on and on, it's saying that the roof can start leaking or it can even collapse. So that is a problem. And as a result, flat roofs are impractical. And did you notice that I commented on how sharp these roofs look? They're very steep. Even gently sloping roofs can be dangerous. Thus, the roofs of Icelandic homes must be constructed with a steep incline. So, because of the weather, they have to have a steep incline. That means they're very high and have that angle, right? An acute angle. If you look over here, though, the title says heated houses. That wasn't really talking about heated houses. Let's see what the next section of the Icelandic homes says. In Iceland's extreme climate is also characterized by rapidly changing temperatures. These variations cause the houses to contract and expand. So when things are hot, maybe it'll contract, but when they get cold, think of water and ice. The ice expands, that liquid expands into a solid, right? It breaks it. That causes the houses to do that. So consequently, foundations and walls can crack. Common materials such as stone, brick, or concrete are rigid and cannot withstand these temperature fluctuations. So if they use stone, brick, or concrete, they can't deal with the contracting and expanding. So home builders have to use wood or metal, since these metals expand and contract easily and are less expensive to replace. So in those countries, or in Iceland, if they use stone or brick or concrete, the expanding and contracting breaks the brick or stone or concrete. So they have to use materials such as wood or metal. Okay, still hasn't really explained a little bit about the heated home. So let's see this next paragraph. The frosty weather can also translate into extremely high heating costs for homeowners. So think about it. Think about having your AC run all the time. Well, this is the heater. The heater is running ongoing in Iceland. However, Icelanders have developed a solution. So here's their solution. Geothermal heating. So this is the heating part of that section. This clever process makes use of the island's many active volcanoes. Red-hot molten rock pushes up through the Earth's crust, warming the bedrock of the island. Underground pockets of water near the molten rock are naturally heated to boiling. So naturally, they have these volcanoes and red-hot molten rock, and they have this water pockets underground that are being heated and boiling. Icelanders pump this streaming water to the surface and supply it in pipes built into the walls and floors of their houses. So this water that's being heated are in pipes along their walls and floors. That's interesting. This process also serves as an additional purpose by providing hot water for cooking and bathing. Geothermal heating allows Icelandic houses to be among the most energy efficient in the world. Well, because they have that use of the molten rock here with the volcano heating up the water and going through here, that automatically causes this to work, and so they use less energy. So they're most energy efficient in the world, or one of them. So we learned a little bit about the geothermal heating system. Dug dwellings. China is not only one of the largest countries, but also one of the most populous. Due to China's varied geographic features and population density, the size and shape of their homes differs drastically. Among these structures are cave houses, some of the most resourceful dwellings ever built. These partly enclosed houses have been carved out of existing caves in northern central China for centuries. Historically, poor peasant farmers live in the region of dry hills. In this region of dry hills, they survived by growing small crops of wheat, barley, and cotton. With limited resources, these peasants needed low-cost housing alternatives. Dug dwellings met this need. So in this part of China, they did not have a lot of resources to build, and these peasant farmers who lived in dry hills, so there's not a lot of ways to grow large fields of crops. They had to grow small crops, small field, little sections of crops, and they had limited resources. So in these caves, they decided to build low-cost housing needs. Cave houses have also helped save China's natural resources. These dwellings are dug into the hard-packed dirt, which provides effective insulation. So it's protected again from the heat. Remember the insulation from the wet, too cold or too hot, insulation helps. Um, the feature greatly decreases the amount of fuel needed to heat the homes. In pre-modern China, wood was the only available resource for warming caves, and the earth acted as natural insulation. So only a small amount of fuel was needed. They didn't need a lot of wood because of the cave. As a result, peasants were able to preserve the scarce forests, thereby preventing erosion and landslides. Even today, the energy-efficient cave homes continue to consume fewer natural resources than most housing structures in China. So that protected the environment. There was less erosion because they didn't need as many trees to warm their houses. Cave houses have become more complex and even trendy over the years. To create sunlit, spacious environments, contemporary home abodes are wide and long with several openings. Builders have added stone facades, cement pillars, and chimneys. So now they've gotten a little bit more fancy. These appealing structures have progressed to include windows, finished walls, and modern appliances. People from around the world are intrigued by these unusual homes because of their ecological value and the connection to the earth. So that was the Chinese cave house. Soaring structures. In Thailand, the climate was dominated by monsoons, a weather pattern that brings abundant rain and strong winds. Rivers and lakes often overflow their banks, and streets surge with several feet of water. In typical homes, this water would flood the structures and cause extensive damage. The Thai people uh, prevent this destruction by building their homes on stilts. So if you can see here, these are the stilts and a stilt house in Thailand. Homes in Thailand are constructed of bamboo, a lightweight, inexpensive, and plentiful natural resource. This rapidly growing plant has a rigid woody stem that is often used in construction. Bamboo stems provide the stilts which elevate the homes, raising them about 5 feet from the ground. The Sampaio is about 5 feet, a little bit taller. Stilt homes are typically built to accommodate extended families, so they're often large and single-level homes. Single level means it just has one floor. So even though they're high up, it's just one floor. They don't have more stories, but they're pretty large and extended families live there. Thailand's typical climate boasts temperatures that rarely dip below 50 degrees Fahrenheit. Doesn't really get colder than that. Enjoying the balmy breezes, the occupants of these raised abodes reap the benefits of the open and airy structures. These homes do not require air conditioners, thereby reducing energy consumption and conserving natural resources. No matter the appearance or material of the dwelling, people have an understanding of what truly makes a house a home. Homes connect families to the past and reveal resourcefulness, whether abodes are warmed with boiling water, chiseled from dirt cliffs, or lifted on legs above the earth, or fashioned from wooden bricks. Homes tell the stories of people and their lands. So that was the passage. I wasn't expecting to read it aloud, but I did get communication from other students saying that they had not read it. Again, if you have questions or if as we go through this while you answer the passage, let me go here. While we go through each question, if you can email me your answers, since we're having trouble with the chat and asking the questions, if you can email me your answers, that way I get an idea of what you think the answer is. And thank you guys for being faithful and trying to study for your test tomorrow. Questions, and we can go from there. Okay, so in paragraph 2, the word construction, which is based on a Latin root, means, and again, if this was the classroom, you can just use your dictionary. If you want to look it up using the internet right now, you can. But look at paragraph 2, and how is the word construction used? So is based on Latin root, that means, and here we have the word construction. Does it mean environment? Does it mean comfort? Does it mean a building? Or does it mean sheltering? So let's look at these 3 words. We have the word environment, the word comfort, the word building, and the word sheltering. I'm going to go back to which paragraph? Paragraph 2. So of course you should have circled paragraph 2, construction, put a line here telling me what it's about. I'm not going to be switching it back and forth because this doesn't for some reason limit how long I can lower this with these tools. But again, you should have circled paragraph 2, construction, and which one of these is there. And then over here on the side, written your definition for construction. So we're looking at paragraph 2 and trying to figure out what it is. So let's go back to paragraph 2 and looking at the word construction. The history and natural environment of a region influence the construction of homes. The history and natural environment influences the environment of homes, influences the comfort of homes, influences the building of homes, or influences the sheltering of homes. So does it influence the environment of homes, the comfort of homes, the building of homes, or the sheltering of homes? If you think you know the answer, go ahead and tell me your answer. Text it to me. I've already got some people answering. They think it influences the sheltering of homes. Any more answers on there? So email me your answer for number 1. Okay, so quite a few of you have narrowed it down to 2. So it doesn't where they live and the environment, because if you look over here, you have to look at the whole sentence. The history and the environment influences the blank of homes. So the history and the environment influences the, let me go back. Sorry about that if I'm scrolling too fast. The history and the environment influences the environment and the comfort. Nobody's saying A or B, but we have a couple saying C or D. The history and the environment influences the building of homes or influences the sheltering of homes. The correct answer is C. It influences the building of homes. So the environment's going to influence how they build the homes. And hopefully, again, you looked up the definition if you weren't quite sure, but you also looked at the sentence, and that's what I did. I went back and looked at the sentence and kind of plugged in those words to see which one made the most sense. Let's look at question number 2. So good job, those of you who responded. Aiden, Jose, and other students, good job in responding. Okay, let's look at number 2. Which sentence from the selection suggests that the author is impressed with the use of geothermal heating in Iceland? So again, we're looking for the sentence, we're looking for the evidence, right? This is the text evidence that shows that the author is impressed. And I think the key word is impressed with the use of geothermal heating. So it's not asking me which sentence mentions geothermal heating. It's asking me which one shows that the author is impressed. Like, you know, he really is appreciative of what they've developed. Sorry about that. Okay, let's look at F. Common materials such as stone, brick, or concrete are rigid and cannot withstand the temperature fluctuations. Does that show that he's impressed? Don't know about that. Let's look at G. The frosty weather can also translate into extremely high heating costs for homeowners. So the frosty weather can also translate for extremely high energy costs. does that show that he's very impressed? Or H, this clever process makes use of the island's many active volcanoes. Does that show that the author is impressed? Or J, Icelanders pump the steaming water to the surface and supply it to the pipes built into the walls and floors of their houses. So all of these statements are evidence that you find in the text. They all come from the text, but only one of them shows that the author is impressed. So go ahead and look through there. We don't really need to go back through the text for this one because you have it there. We're looking for the one statement that shows the author is impressed with the process. So look through it. Email me your answers. I'm going to give you a little bit of time to answer. The keyword is impressed. If you were the author, which sentence would you use if you were impressed by them? Okay, submit your answers for question number 2. We've got a few people who answered. If you want to answer as well, go ahead and submit it. Okay, so again, I think we have some people who narrowed it down, and a few of you narrowed it down to 2 different choices. For the most part, you guys eliminated F and G, so that's just telling me facts, right? This is what they used to build it. The frosty weather can have high costs. So most of y'all eliminated F and G. So let's look at H and J. Which one shows that someone is impressed? Well, if someone's impressed, they kind of might use, because it's almost like an opinion, an adjective. So J, Icelanders pump the stream into the surface and supply it. That's just telling me what geothermal heating is. But it's not telling me the impressed part. The fact that they said this is clever. Clever means, whoa, this is a smart process. Clever means smart. So because of that, that shows that the author is impressed because he's calling the process clever or a smart way of doing things. So the correct answer for number 2 was H. So look at those keywords on there. Okay, let's move on to number 3. So if you got it wrong, don't worry about it because we're going over it now. We're looking at our details and we're finding techniques on how to answer this. Because I think for the most part, many of you understood the passage, but again, it's understanding why an author uses something, how an author feels about the subject, all of those things. It's understanding it and having practice with it, and then also understanding the question and really analyzing all the different choices. I think the fact that he said impressed, and this has the word clever, training your mind to look at those keywords to give you hints for the answer is how you're going to improve upon your grades. And again, if we don't do well, we can always do corrections and go to tutoring to see where our mistakes were so we can learn from them. Remember, it's about grit and getting up and trying again. So let's look at number 3. Number 3, what has happened to cave homes over time? So over time, what has happened to cave homes? So I know this is about cave homes, and this is what happened over time. That means it started off one way, and now as time has passed, it has changed. So let me go back to the section that talks about cave homes. You also have a copy of the passage, so you could be looking at that as well. So let's look at the cave homes section and see what has happened to them over time. So here's the cave homes. It says the cave homes have become more complex and trendy over the years. So now they're not as simple cave homes for poor people. Now it's complex and trendy. That means it's popular. So let's go ahead and continue going through this. So go back to question number 3. What has happened to cave homes over time? Modern features and conveniences have been added. Okay, maybe. They have deteriorated as a result of erosion. Is that even on there? I don't know. Plumbing and electricity have been included so the structures are more accessible, or they have been abandoned for more contemporary and energy efficient homes. So I'm thinking you guys can automatically narrow it down to a couple of answers. Have they been abandoned? Have they deteriorated because of wind and erosion? I think you guys can easily eliminate B and D. So we have A and C. Have modern features and conveniences been added to make homes more comfortable? Or has plumbing and electricity been included so structures are more accessible? So is it talking about it being more accessible or about it being more comfortable? Let's go back to that section and look over here. They've become more trendy over the years. They have spacious environment. It's contemporary, means modern. Cave homes are wide and long, several openings. They've stone facades and cement pillars and chimneys. Those are extra things they've added. These appealing, that means people like them. Structures have progressed. They include windows, walls, and modern appliances. People from around the world are intrigued. They're interested in these unusual homes because of their ecological value and connection. So based on that, let's see. We've got two choices that we narrowed it down to. Is it talking about the plumbing and electricity to make it more accessible? Or is it talking about modern features and conveniences that have made the homes more comfortable? Go ahead and email me your answer, and I will give you some time to do that. So we narrowed it down to two. Is it A or C? Okay, everybody has been texting me. A, modern features and conveniences have been more comfortable. And again, a lot of this, again, is going back to the text and figuring it out. So number 4 is a main idea and supporting details. So let's look at this diagram. One supporting detail is flooding caused by monsoons. Another supporting detail is lightweight and inexpensive. So flooding caused by monsoons, I already know, ooh, monsoons, that's the house in Thailand. Lightweight, inexpensive, and plentiful. What's it talking about being lightweight? What is lightweight, inexpensive, and plentiful? I think that was what they said about bamboo. Let me double check. If I go over here, they said the rapidly growing plant is rigid, woody stem is often used in construction. Oh, here. The homes are constructed of bamboo, lightweight, inexpensive, and plentiful. So you see that in that sentence right there where it talks about the homes in Thailand. Okay, so this is the bamboo. Benefits of breezes. Okay, so we have flooding caused by monsoons. It's lightweight, inexpensive, and there's lots of breezes. So what would go up here? What is this main idea? And these are the supporting details. What would fit there? What is the best title for this diagram? Stilt homes constructed of bamboo. So stilt homes that are constructed of bamboo, flooding is caused by monsoons, lightweight, inexpensive, benefits of breezes. The environmental effects, reasons for constructing the bamboo, or limitations of bamboo homes. And if you don't know what limitations means, you should be looking that up when you come across it on a test. And limitations means the things you can't do or bamboo homes cannot do. So we've got three choices, three different sections here. They're all talking about something, about how stilt homes are constructed of bamboo, about the environmental effects of the bamboo, or the reasons for the construction of the bamboo stilt homes. So go ahead and message me what you think the answer is, and I will be waiting. Okay, we've got a couple of answers. I'm waiting for a couple more. So which is the best title for this diagram? Floodings caused by monsoons, lightweight and inexpensive, or benefits of breezes. Okay, when we look at this, we've got a few answers, so we'll go ahead and go over all of this, okay? Nobody picked G, so that's good. Nobody said that the environmental effects. So these are not environmental effects because you built a home out of bamboo. We're not going to have monsoons, right? So for sure, all of y'all did not pick G. But we've got quite a few of you who picked F, H, and J. So let's look at this again. Stilt homes constructed of bamboo. So stilt homes constructed of bamboo, flooding caused by monsoons, light homes, benefits of breezes. I don't know how the flooding caused by monsoons, what that has to do with the stilt homes. Because you build stilt homes, you're going to have flooding by monsoons. That may not make sense. So let's look at H. The reasons for constructing a bamboo home on stilts. So are these different reasons why they should build the homes out of bamboo? Because of the flooding? Is that a reason why you should build a bamboo home? Because they're lightweight and inexpensive? Is that a reason why you should build a bamboo home? Or because they have lots of breezes and it's airy and you can have breezes? Is that a reason to construct bamboo homes? That is the correct answer. Limitations means what you cannot do with bamboo homes. And bamboo homes, lightweight, inexpensive, and plentiful. You can do that because it is lightweight, inexpensive, and plentiful. So that's why it's not J. So the correct answer for that one is actually H. So hopefully you understood that one. I had quite a couple of you got it right, but most of you either picked, it was evenly split between J and F. Hopefully I explained enough that you understood that these are all reasons why you would construct a bamboo home. Let's look at number 5. In paragraph 6, the author uses an example of active volcanoes too. So paragraph 6 talks about an active volcano. Are they just giving you details of the landscape, describing how they have used natural resource to benefit them, emphasize the impact of a natural disaster, or explain why islanders find it necessary to protect the natural environment? I'll let you look over this really quick while I let the dogs out because they're bugging me, and we'll go over the passage on paragraph 6. Come on, Sally. Okay, so let's look at paragraph 6. Why did they talk about the example of active volcanoes in paragraph 6? So let's go back to paragraph 6. And right here. The frosty weathers can also translate into extremely high heating costs. However, Icelanders have developed a solution, geothermal heating. The clever process makes use of the island's many active volcanoes. Red hot molten rock pushes through the Earth's crust, warming the red rock of the island. Underground pockets of water near the molten rock are naturally heating to boiling. Icelanders pump this streaming water into the surface and supply it to pipes built in the walls and floors of their houses. This process also serves an additional purpose by providing hot water for cooking and bathing. Geothermal heating allows Icelandic houses to be among the most energy efficient in the world. So why did they even talk about the volcanoes? This clever process makes use of the island's active volcanoes, and then it explains how they utilized it. So what was the purpose of that? And our choices are to give you an talking so that they can talk about the landscape, so that they can talk about how they use natural resources, to show you the impact of a natural disaster, to explain why it's necessary to protect the environment. So those are your choices. Go ahead and email me your answer. Okay, so quite a few of you have answered, and you all are right. Good job, guys. There's only one that really makes sense, right? It's how they use the natural resource to benefit them. It was not talking about the landscape or a natural disaster, or it wasn't trying to help talk about how it's necessary to protect the environment. Not in that section. Okay, so look at the diagram below the paragraph. And if you look at the diagram below the paragraph, again, it helps the readers. We're looking at the purpose of that diagram. Why did they put that diagram there? And if we go all the way back, here is the diagram. Why did they put this picture here? Why is this picture here? This geothermal heating system, it's got all of this. It has the lines that are going through all the houses of the water pipes. Remember that said that on the text? And I'm assuming this might be steam coming out. So why did the author put this diagram here? If you think you know, let's look at our choices. Okay, so that you can gain a perspective about the importance of energy efficient homes, so that you can know about energy efficient homes. That's why the author put that diagram, to get information about the materials that they use to build their homes. So it's information about the wood and things like that, the materials that they use to build it. To see the process of constructing the system. Maybe they showed you how to construct the system, how to build that geothermal system, or so that you can understand how the heated water enters into their homes. So looking at here, you can probably eliminate 2 answers, but going through here, what is the purpose? To see how the water goes into their homes, to see how they built the heating system, to see the materials that they use to build their homes, or to talk about the importance of it being energy efficient. Go ahead and email me your answers, and I'll be waiting. Okay, I'm still waiting for you guys. It looks like you guys are really thinking about it. So let's look at our choices. We can probably eliminate a couple of them. So if you're having trouble, you can see that you can probably eliminate a couple of them. And oh, I guess I just needed to click on my phone a little bit more and it updated. So a lot of you answered and everybody answered correctly. To understand how the heated water enters the home. That was a hard one. A lot of people put H on this one in the past, and it's not how they constructed. See, the word construction is, constructing. It's not how they built the system. It's just showing you how that water goes through all the homes. So every one of you who put an answer on that got that one right. Good job on that. A lot of people got that one wrong last year, so you guys are great. Okay, number 7. Using the natural insulation of dirt allowed the Chinese to. So how did the fact that the dirt is a natural insulator? Now, if you remember, insulation from science, and if you don't, you can always look it up. It keeps the things warm, or it can keep things cold. It just maintains that temperature. So that natural insulation helps the Chinese to construct their homes quickly and efficiently. So the insulation has to do with building their homes. It allows them to craft homes with unusual resources. So they use different things. Or does the insulation of dirt help them protect their environment? Or does this natural insulation help them attract conservationists from other countries? So this one's a little bit challenging. Look at number 7. What did using this natural insulation allow the Chinese to do? If you're not quite sure, let's go ahead and go back up to that section. So let's go ahead and go back up to the part of the Chinese cave homes. So even today, let's see here, even today, the energy efficient cave homes continue to consume fewer natural resources than China. Here it talks about the natural insulation. The Earth acted as a natural insulation, so only a small amount of fuel was needed. As a result, so because of this, as a result means because of this, peasants were able to preserve the scarce forest, thereby preventing erosion and landslides. So here how you see how they talked about the natural insulation, and then because of it, the peasants were able to preserve the scarce forest, thereby preventing erosion and landslides. Let's see if that's one of our choices. It says because of that, they were able to construct their homes quickly, craft homes from unusual resources, protect their environment, or attract conservationists. Go ahead and email me what you think the answer is for number 7. Okay, let's see if you can send me your answer. Some of you are still thinking about it. Okay, now the key word in the question is the natural insulation. So if you look at this, the natural insulation, the correct answer for this, and we read this, as a result, peasants were able to preserve the scarce forests and landslides. So because of this, they were able to protect the natural resources. So the correct answer for number 7 was C. If you guys are, I'm going to go ahead and stop here. I was hoping to go through the whole thing. Unfortunately, there were a lot of students that sent me messages that they did not read the passage. Next time we do this, you'll have read the passage ahead of time so that when we go into the sample questions in the test, we can go straight into the possible answer choices. So the summary question, if you haven't done it, you can write this down on the side. Number 8, the answer was F. Number 9, the answer was D. Number 10, the answer was J. Number 11, the answer was D. 12, the answer was F. Again, number 8, F, 9, D, 10, J, 11, D, and 12, F. Let me go ahead and go back to the screen sharing, or stop the screen sharing. Hey guys, thank you for staying on. I know it got a little late. The technical issues again, unfortunately. We'll get the hang of it soon. And 2, I wasn't expecting so many of you to email me and say that you were not able to read the passage. Just try to look it over before we have these review sessions for your test. That way it speeds it up and we can focus on the answers and how to find the answer in the text. So you guys have a good night, and I will see you tomorrow. Have a great, bye.